As ever with Meghan and Harry, there's a story that really can just be clipped and suddenly taken off, literally, into another stratosphere. So it's always good to take a little bit of time to delve in a little bit deeper and find out exactly the true story behind headlines like this. As ever, let me explain. Hi, morning or good evening, whatever you're doing today. I hope you're keeping well. Over here in the very heart of the United Kingdom, having terrible windstorms, that sort of stuff. So if you are out and about, really, truly be very careful, because you know what I mean. You just, from a moment's notice, everything can turn. And can I give you a tip as well? If you are walking around, do look up above you, because if there's areas with scaffolding that are not as secure as you might think, do be careful when walking near things like that. Not frightening you, just being safe. Do you know what I mean? We all get a bit lost, don't we, in that sort of stuff. It's a little bit like, of course, the stories that we see about the former royals known as Harry and Meghan. Because if you remember, a couple of days ago, there was a story literally within the glossy magazine that is Vanity Fair that basically stated that Meghan Markle's team, as ever, allegedly were shopping around a divorce book, you know, a marriage after divorce book, this sort of stuff. And this created a lot of waves. But as I told you before, this is nothing new. You know, the story really is nothing new. But what I can tell you is that previously publishers have contacted Meghan Markle with a view about her story. But the element of the story that she was very reticent to share, for whatever reasons only known to herself, was her first marriage to the movie mogul Trevor Engelson. And it's interesting because that's a point that people would like to know. Apparently, Harry has never truly asked her too much detail about that very first marriage, other than the fact she apparently told him, as ever allegedly, it was simply something of a dark time that she now regrets. Well, maybe you do on those sort of marriages, who knows? But what about this latest book that apparently she's been shopping around, as I say, after the divorce? Well, actually, parts of this are technically true, but you have to decipher, having tracked down a couple of the people that are now behind this particular story, who were apparently publishers keen to get involved. You see, the idea really was based on something on, you know, how to make a successful marriage, that type of stuff. And the idea really was that Meghan was going to sit down and give her tips for having a successful marriage, literally under the media spotlight. Now you might say, aha, was that really a smoke screen to cover the idea, really? Well, of course, publishers would not pay a mega lot of money unless, of course, there was something else attached in that particular deal. Meghan, savvy enough to know that, would obviously release certain bon mots, you know, certain things that perhaps, you know, had gone on in the marriage that didn't work out too well. Particularly, as we already know, she was unhappy at certain points at the very start of her marriage as part of the British monarchy. So she could have rehashed those stories again. You understand how this works. So in truth, there was a book, but not in the scale at that point what everybody's reporting about. But as we already know, Meghan Markle herself, not exactly a shining light in the publishing world, with her first foray, all thanks to Penguin Random House, and of course her book, The Bench. Not quite sure, as I've often said, whether it was a children's book, a real book, what, I don't know. But the other side of it was they were kind of buoyed on by the fact, particularly Meghan, seeing dollar signs, no doubt, that there could be something in there for her. But consequently, you know, what they really want is something far more salacious. And at this point in time, at least, Meghan Markle is having a little bit of restraint and saying, well, no. So that is what I found out behind the headlines of this particular story. As ever, shrouded in mystery, but at least publishers are honest enough to say that's exactly what they wanted. Neil Sean in the very heart of a windy London.